1K, man. It seems like a much smaller number than everybody used to see it in like 2017, 2014, let alone when YouTube was first a thing. But dang, man, there's a lot I want to say, but also not a lot I have to say. So let's kind of push it back to the beginning. This account was made in 2017. So I was pretty young, for the most part. And I didn't really know that much about the world. I didn't really know that much about people. I never really understood people. The idea of people was that they kind of mentally pushed you down a little bit, but then you had those people who would lift you back up, correct? And in 2017, I never really understood my place in the world. I never really knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. I never knew whether or not I wanted to be a content creator or not. Excuse my notifications. I don't really know. I was just being a kid. Come by 2019, 2020, before the world shut down, I furthermore did not know my place in the world. I pushed myself, I barricaded myself into my own emotions, and I let my emotions, including the emotions of others, get to me. I let that impact me. And so what happened was I stopped talking to people, I completely closed myself off, and my view of friendship tainted itself because I let it taint itself. And you want to know what my number one way to cope with that, quote unquote, was? You want to know what my way of ignoring that and finding creativity and motivation to boost myself was? YouTube. It's always been YouTube. It's actually kind of funny. When I first was watching YouTube videos, it was mainly on my TV. What is it, a JVC? Little old TV from like probably before 07. I watched so much on there. We mainly watched Blu-ray DVDs on there first. I still have a bunch of them, like Friday After Next, Sister Act. We got a bunch of stuff up there from like early 2000s up to like before Blu-ray kind of cut off. And then we had and then Netflix became a thing, and we started using Netflix after iPods and stuff. That was like before I got a phone, yada yada yada. And then YouTube, the idea of having so many creative people playing different games, giving commentary, all that stuff, that fascinated me, and I became hooked with it. Not only was YouTube a place for me to find kind of like just something entertaining, it was motivation. There are so many creators that I follow on here that I absolutely love, whether they be doll customizers, indie music producers, larger music producers, whether they be like just influencers or podcasters, whether they be your everyday people or just smaller content creators. I just wanted to support somebody, and I loved it. And I was like, one day, on my own, without no help from family or nothing, I want to be able to do the same thing. And my main inspiration when it came to content creation is Manly Badass Hero and Corey Kenshin primarily. Those two, dude, they're OGs. I'm pretty sure I watched their content since I had my first YouTube account. And just there's something about those two specifically that you just can't really put your finger on. They're very grounded people. And when I was trying to find my purpose in the world, I wanted that sort of groundness too. Come by 2021, everybody coming back with masks and everything. and me having more of a high school experience. I found my people. I found teachers who were supporting me all the way. I understood why people viewed me the way they did. I understood why I viewed myself the way I did, and I just locked in. Like, when it comes to the real world, I became more grounded in the real world, and I understood that I wanted to do stuff with art. I wanted to be able to use art as a voice and encourage people to use art as a voice, whether that be physical, like traditional, whether that be digital, whether that be like activism, whether that be anything. And more importantly, even if I don't talk like this too much with y'all, I wanted to show what a true friend means to people. True friends give their honest opinion, whether they may disagree or not. True friends advocate for success. True friends pull people up. And true friends, when they're down, they don't try to push that on others, at least not that much. True friends reach out. And that's why I kind of like talk on here the way I do, because yes, I'm trying to stay like on some level or silver lining professional. But at the same time, when you're a content creator, you have to know your people. When you're an artist, you have to know yourself. You have to have that barrier and silver lining between there. So then when, okay, let's say it like this. 2023, 2022, I went on the Daybreak server when it was not read-only, when people were in VCs all of the time, when the general constantly had some sort of drama going on, and I met a bunch of friends. That group sort of diverged now, as Discord friend groups do, because it's a Discord. But primarily I had two main people from there, well really 3 or 4, I'll say 4, who really kind of inspired me. Persistence VA, SI Fancy Rat, who I haven't really talked to in a very long time, but but if you see this dude, I hope you're doing good. I hope college is treating you well. Loom, and who am I missing? Hey, Chris. Hey, or SOU. They're such cool people. And they stuck with me the most after that entire friend group diverged. And then fast forward to mid 2024 this year, Persistence was like, yo, you could really be a good push for this community. You could really get yourself out there. If you want to get a jump start, this is where you do it. You see how the views raise. That's your key. You gotta do it. And at first I was like, I didn't really want to do it. Okay. But then the more I started doing it, the more I started to understand why people at school say they like to hear me talk, why people in my family like hearing me talk, why people see my maturity and see how grounded partially I am. But at the end of the day, I'm still growing. There's still stuff to learn. I'm trying to learn more patience. I'm learning how to ground myself more. It's just, but why do I say this all? Is the main thing, because I've been yapping for 9 minutes. I say this all to say thank you for giving me another reason to ground myself, to express myself in a way that's outside from the real world, that's outside of anything happening around me, that's outside of the room that I even record in, that's outside all of that, just to focus on my own interests in a way that could provide me success or start investments little by little. That means so much to me as somebody who grew up or is growing up. Let me correct that. Someone who is growing up, seeing all of these content creators and artists and friends and stuff move on, whatever the case may be, seeing them grow and nurture, for y'all to be the reason why, for this platform specifically that I'm nurturing. That means the world to me. And as small as 1K is, it's a number. As much as it is only a number, it can do numbers. So thank you. And from here on out, whenever I hit 1K and it stays consistent or keeps raising, I'll still be doing Daybreak content. Relatively. I do want to try to get more guides out. I want to do one for Principal, because I am a former Principal main. And some other stuff. Maybe. It depends. I also want to try to get more of a viewer, of a already subscribed viewership on Bloodsport content, because if you don't know, I am an artist for a Roblox game that is in the works called Bloodsport, which is directed by a local arsonist YT, another Daybreak content creator who also does DVD, Fish, and a bunch of other cool games he streams mainly. It is a 1v6 asymmetrical horror that's grounded around all of these survivors who are taken and killers who are taken into this sort of killing game that is portrayed as a show that is hosted throughout different universes from a darker entity. To just summarize it short, I do music, some modeling, I make character renders, and I make some concept designs. And then maybe get a push on IDV, that really depends. In the future, if I have the technology for it, I would also love to do streaming. But right now, it just really depends, because I'm finna step up in life in a hot minute come June through August mainly. I'm gonna have to level up and lock in harder than I've ever had to before when it comes to education. But circling back, 1K is just a number, but it gets numbers. It gets a lot for me to ground myself. I understand my purpose, and I understand what I want to achieve. I am also understanding that I have a choice. And however lazy I decide to be any day, that is my choice. I can't say I don't understand or it's yes or no. It's I have a choice. Do I want to do this or do I not want to do this? And whatever consequences come after that is just how it is. But this is not lazy. This is not a consequence. This is future. This is technology. This is a new step for me to invest in a way that isn't a 9-to-5 or working, which I hate to compare YouTube to a 9-to-5, but growing economy in America. 1K is just a number, and it does numbers. It does numbers on smiles. It does numbers on motivation. It does numbers on breaks. But you know what it doesn't do numbers on? My will and my creativity. So, this is where I end it and say, thank you. This is also where I end it with the question. What does numbers for you? What is your drive? What do you have the will to do to change yourself for the better? Or the things around you? I love y'all. Always stay creative. Love yourself. You have a reason. You have a choice. You have a purpose. This is Eyes. We're in a new era.